All right, today's lesson is on solving rational equations. The key word is solve. If you're told to solve something, aren't you going to get x equals or y equals?
Yeah.
That's what it means when it's solved. In the units that we've been doing before, we have been simplifying. So we have got some type of a fractional answer. So today's lesson, we're going to be solving. The only notes that you're going to need are these top pieces right here. Solving rational equations. Number one, we multiply each term by the common denominator, we solve it, and we check our answer in the original problem, and it's very important. So quickly write this much down, and then we will go do, I think I have 4 examples. Are we good?
Good.
All right, so the instruction says multiply by the common denominator. When you pick the common denominator, you have to look at all 3 of the denominators, okay? So what would be my common denominator? 10. Very simple. So I'm going to multiply by 10, multiply by 10, multiply by 10. Now, I'm going to rewrite this down below because I want to be able to see the original problem. Because with you guys, you'll be able to look back in the book, but I just want to make sure that you can see the original problem. All right, if you look at this first fraction, I would like you to reduce it. What could we reduce out? Just in this term alone. The 2 would go into
5.
So I could make this 5x. Now, if you notice, what we'll create will be an equation with no denominators, which will be very easy to solve. All right, what's going to reduce out here?
10. So just
And then what's going to happen over here?
2.
Now, can you easily solve this equation? Yes. It's very easy to solve. So we'd add a -3. We would divide. And then we're going to check these. We're going to use our calculator. So let me get a minute for me to get my calculator out. And I'll show you how to check it using your calculator. Don't tilt you down. So if I check this, what's going to happen? I'm going to have my number and divided by 2. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my number, -1 divided by 5. I think I'm going to put it inside of parentheses. And then I'm going to divide it by 2. And then I'm going to add 3/10. So will you agree what I wrote down is what this side is? If I have the enter, when I hit the enter, do I get the answer on the other side? 0.2. What's 0.2 as a fraction?
1/5.
So in other words, I checked it. And you can check it with the calculator. You just have to watch your parentheses. All right, so let's look at this second example. What is the common denominator? X squared. We always use the biggest one, correct? So we're going to have x squared times 5 over x squared equals x squared times 6 over x minus x squared. So if
How'd you get the minus x squared?
because this is over 1, So I multiplied this one by x squared. So I have to multiply each term, each one by x squared. So if I take 1 times x squared, that's where it came from. All right, so let's look at the first one. What's going to happen to x squared over x squared?
Drop out.
Drops out. Here, x squared over x,
Just get X.
so we get 6x. Now, we have a quadratic. I need to rearrange. I'm going to add the opposite of that piece, add the opposite of this piece. And now I have a trinomial. To solve that, what do you have to do?
Factor.
Factor it. So, Ashton, what will be the factors?
X minus 2 and x minus 3.
Remember, your other factors of 5.
Minus 5 and x minus 1. Yeah.
See, that's one of those things you gotta make sure you can factor. Now, I have 2 answers, and the only way I can check and see that they work is I'm gonna have to go back and check them. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put 5 in here, so I'm gonna have 5 divided by 25. So is everyone good if that's what I have on the left side? Over here, I'm gonna have 6 divided by 5 minus 1. Are my 2 answers here the same? So then you know this one works. All right, so let's try the other one. So we'll have 5 divided by 1, because 1 squared is 1. And then on the other one, we have 6 divided by my answer minus 1. Do I get the same thing?
Yeah.
So they both work. All right, any questions about the check part? All right, they're going to get a little bit more complicated, but they're also going to get a little bit easier. If you look at this example, this is a fraction equal to a fraction. And when we have a fraction equal to a fraction, we call them a proportion. And to solve a proportion, you cross multiply. So, if I'm going to cross multiply, that means I'm going to multiply these 2 together. And I'm going to multiply these 2 together. Notice when I solve the proportion, no fractions. And see, that's the key thing. When we solve these, we're using techniques where we have no fractions to deal with. Ryder, what do we get?
I don't know, I can see it for.
Walk up here and tell me what you get.
Too easy to do.
I know. So, you're going to take 3 times both of those again.
3a minus 6.
Thank you very much. You may return to your trusty chair. So what's my next step?
Subtract 3a.
Subtract 3a.
Negative.
Is everybody good?
Yep.
And Hayes, what's my last step?
Divide 2.
And so I get a equals a negative 3. And again, like always, I got to check. So you go back to your calculator. So in the first time, I'll have 3 divided by a negative 3. Now that's a negative 1. When I do the other side, 5 divided, I need to put parentheses around that denominator. And so my answer was a negative 3 minus 2. Do I get the same thing?
Yep.
Yes, indeed. So here is my solution. All right, here's one that's a little bit more difficult. So if I cross multiplied, I have a negative 2 times x squared minus 4. And on the other side, I'd have x minus 2 times x minus 4. Well, on the left side, what will I get, Carter?
Negative 2x squared minus 8, or plus 8.
Ryan, what will I get on the right side?
X squared minus 6x plus 8.
Now, all I have to do is,
How did you
Quit
get
moving.
he did FOIL, he did it in his head. The inside is a negative 2, the outside's a negative 4, adds to a negative 6. Again, it's just FOIL. So what I want to do is I want one side is 0. And since I hate having the x squared negative, I'm going to add a positive 2x squared to both sides. Here I'll have 3x squared. What's going to happen to the 8's?
Drop out.
Drop out. So when I get to here, I want to factor, so I'm gonna take a 3x out of both of those. I'm gonna set both of the pieces equal to 0, and then I'm gonna solve. So I have two answers, 0 and 2. All right, now, the 0 one I can check very easy. If this is 0, what will that make the left side?
Negative
And if these two are both zeros, what is that gonna make this side? And
It should have
Ryan,
been both
isn't this a
one.
positive one over
Yeah,
here?
I was like,
So isn't there a positive one over here?
Yeah.
So doesn't this one work?
yep.
But look at this one. If I would put the 2 here, what's gonna happen?
0.
Am I allowed to divide by 0?
No.
No. So this answer does not.
But technically, it's just.
It's what's called an extraneous root. It's a root that looks like a word, but it won't check, and so we throw it out. All right, any questions? Let's pick assignment off your homework, so put your notes away, get your homework and your book out. Let's pick a problem.